But Michael Vick, the great Michael Vick, is in the mix for multiple head coaching jobs, interviewed with Norfolk State, program close to home there for him in Virginia. And then, of course, the one that's been making the rounds big time because of the headline attached to it, Sacramento State. So I'm going to pull up the tweet that came out yesterday here, as neither of these programs are, flying high right now, 4-8 season and 3-9 for each of them respectively. But the news that came out again yesterday regarding this one was pretty big. And that is the Adam Schefter tweet that came out that was basically saying that Sacramento State has a $50 million NIL budget. I don't think anyone was able to confirm that they had a $50 million NIL budget for this season, but it seems like it was more of a bundling together of the money that the boosters have kind of committed towards the future here. And again, that's way different than having $50 million to work with this next season. But your thoughts on Michael Vick potentially getting into the head coaching ranks?
Yeah, there's almost two stories, right? The program and the coach. So starting with Vick, he's somebody who obviously, when he first came on the scene, the physical talent, right, and just the ability to do things easily that we've never seen before at the quarterback position. That's what he was known for. Of course, we know about the twists and turns that his life took for getting his football career, but just focusing on him after prison. And he was a much different person. You could tell from the way he spoke in the media, but also what people around him were saying, that this is a guy that wasn't taking things for granted, obviously had been humbled by the experience and was trying to help others really at every stop of the way after he left the prison system and got back into the NFL. It was really, he became a veteran leader just that quick with a lot of wisdom and experience, the highs and the lows. So I'm not surprised that he's gone this route, because it fits in with the mentorship, trying to help young men avoid some of the pitfalls he had, learn from his mistakes and learn from his successes and the things he's done. So it makes a lot of sense. He's someone that, look, it's kind of like Deion, where even if the players weren't alive to see him in his prime, they can just turn on YouTube and very quickly understand who they're talking to and what they're dealing with. So I like the idea that he's looking at smaller schools here, because Deion didn't go straight to Colorado. He was at Jackson State first. First, he was in the high school level. Then Jackson State, kind of cut his teeth there and had success before moving on. But this Sacramento State part of it is the interesting one. I think Norfolk State, Mike Vick, like you mentioned, he's from there. That makes perfect sense. Sacramento State is like a whole nother part of this story. And, I want you to chime in, because I know you've been digging into this, Pete, but when I look at the quote from the president of the school, Sacramento State, Dr. Luke Wood. There's a school, I'm not that familiar with the school. They have a 30,000 student enrollment, so they're definitely not small. But Dr. Luke Wood, president of Sacramento State, said, yes, I did meet with Michael Vick about his interest in Sacramento State football and our athletic rise. As you can imagine, given the success of our athletic programs, our football head coach job is an attractive role. So he kind of made it seem like, look, we did him a favor by interviewing with us. Maybe Vic is trying to get more money from Norfolk State, which again seems to me, just from the outside looking in, to be the more logical fit for him. But Sacramento State moving up to FBS after a rough season, only 3 wins in the Big Sky. Interesting situation there.
Well, and the interesting thing with Vic too is that he's been someone he's been very involved in running his own football camp circuit for a long time. I mean, in terms of like the youth academies and things of that nature. So he has roots in the system in terms of giving back to the community. Probably a lot of guys that he's come in contact with over the years that are coming of age now to go play college football. But with Sacramento State, it really seems like the way that the headlines have come out, the wording of certain things, and the way the athletic director is talking, it seems like a bit of a publicity stunt. And again, when you talk about the $50 million, from what I understand, they obviously aren't spending $50 million on a roster next year. That would be far and away the most expensive roster in college football. But believe there's a commitment from a group of boosters who have said, look, over the course of X amount of years, we are going to put forth this money. Obviously, that needs to be realized. And part of continuing to build your name in the public spotlight is by interviewing, meeting with names like a Mike Vick, who in the coaching world may not mean all that much because he has never coached before. But if you're talking about continuing to get the buzz around your program, if you're trying to attract more boosters, more money in, people who may be, tied in with Vic, so to speak, and his success, you see the people that have come along for the ride with Dion over there, not only on his coaching staff, but the celebrities and all of that buzz, all ties in to the success that they've had over there at Colorado. So I think wherever he ends up, is it going to be the same thing? Probably not that scale of a show, but I think that's what we're seeing here with a lot of the headlines and things of that nature. Sacramento State could be beneficial for them, even if Vic doesn't end up being their head coach.
Yeah, you hear Canes Cat 305 in our chat saying Sacramento State's line. They've been talking about a stadium for 2 years, and it's a no-show. Sacramento State, baseball first program historically, at least in recent history. So we'll see. They're certainly getting publicity. We're talking about Sacramento State, right?
But we're a nationally renowned YouTube page, so they're getting all the publicity that they want from it.
Absolutely. But, I hope Mike Vick ends up at Norfolk State. I mean, I hope he gets a job wherever he thinks is best. But Norfolk State, to me, that seems like just a natural fit. Lots of great athletes in that area. A lot of great athletes that, for whatever reason, maybe can't go D1 right out of high school or aren't ready to go D1. I think that thing makes a lot of sense for him there at that level with his experience and knowledge. So hope that thing gets done there with Norfolk State.